Hello everyone, welcome back to AshTalksBall, and this is a big one. This is my final 1 to 24 for the 26-27 EFL Championship season. So when I mess out all these predictions up in a year's time, you can use this video to laugh at me. But let's hope it's going to be a good one. So thanks for all the support on the previous videos. Really enjoy making these for you. This is a video that I've really been looking forward to making, and with the prediction videos coming out next week, things are gonna heat up. Weekly prediction videos, weekly opinion videos. It's going to be a lot of fun covering the Championship this season. The Championship really is the best league in the world, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it all year long. So with that being said, this is my final 1 to 24 for the EFL Championship 26-27. Let's get into it. So kicking things off in 24th, and probably the most predicted finish of any team, is Lincoln going to be finishing in 24th for me. They're starting to get some transfer business done, mainly from foreign markets, so we'll see how quickly they can get those players integrated. Losing Moylan to Cardiff is a big blow. Not something you want when you're moving up a division and you lose one of your better players to another team who is also promoted. It's not what you really want. With all the uncertainty about the double manager system, we've never seen this in the Championship before, so we are really in the unknown. They need to make Sincil Bank a fortress, which they can do. They always get good atmospheres at that ground. Whenever I've been there, it's been a pretty good atmosphere. So home form's important. Obviously a real tricky start, being away to Middlesbrough on the opening day, but a good start after that game is really important. If they do get off to a slow start and they do find themselves 5, 6, 7 points behind the pack really early, it could be a long, hard season for Lincoln. But they've got to get these new signings integrated, off to a good start, and maybe they could have a chance. But it's going to be a long season for Lincoln, I think, and I have them finishing in 24th. So 23rd place is the same as my original video, and that is Blackburn. I did consider putting them down in 24th below Lincoln, just with the whole ownership situation and lack of finances, lack of transfers. It's just not looking good for Blackburn this season. I did keep them above Lincoln. I think they've got enough Championship experience to not have the bottom completely fall out and finish bottom of the table. But without the investment that's coming in, without the players that they desperately do need to help push on, it's going to be a long season for Blackburn. Obviously, I love Tony Mowbray. I hope he does well there. I just don't think he's going to have the tools to succeed right now. I think he'll produce a floor, like I said earlier, so the floor won't bottom out, but I don't think he'll have enough to keep Blackburn in his division. So, real tricky one for Blackburn. It could be a really long season. So barring any last-minute investment from Venky's, which I don't see coming for a few new players, I've got Blackburn going down to League One. 22nd in the final relegation place, I have gone with Charlton. Obviously, I don't like betting against Nathan Jones. I said that in my last video. If anyone can get the best out of their team to get them over that dotted line, I think it is Nathan Jones. They invested heavily last season, so they're going to need these players to step up in their second season at the Valley. Signing Ali from Luton is a real good signing. I saw him up close at Fratton Park last season for Portsmouth, where he gave Ipswich a torrid time on their left-hand side. So I think he'll be a really good bit of business. Charlton know their style under Nathan Jones. It's a very effective style, and it could well just keep them up. I have gone for them just to be relegated this season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they could just sneak to safety. We have seen Charlton under Nathan Jones be effective in the Championship for the first half of last season before they really did go on a decline. So we know they can do it. It is there, but I think they're just going to fall just short this season and return to League One after 2 seasons in the Championship. So 21st place and just avoiding relegation, I've gone with Cardiff. Tying Barry Murphy down to a new contract is obviously a huge boost for the club. He's proven he can work with young players. He's got a really good young core with him, with a set way of playing that they've developed through a tough League One season. They've started to make a few moves. Like I mentioned earlier, that they've got Moylan, that is a nice boost for them while taking it away from a relegation rival, so that is nice. Remains to be seen if they will show the adaptability that I think they will have to have if they are going to stay up. Their style will not work on a week in, week out basis in this division. It just very rarely works like that. And that should be proven in week 1, where they have Wrexham coming to the Cardiff City Stadium. Wrexham will let Cardiff come onto them. That's what Wrexham want, and they will play off that. So Cardiff may have to show a different tact in that fixture, and I'm looking forward to see if they do have the ability to do that. If they do, then Cardiff could be a surprise team this season. But I've got them staying up this season, which will be a huge win for them coming up from League One. Sometimes it just does take that step down to League One just to reset the club. They're on a decline throughout the years in the Championship following their relegation to the Premiership, and their relegation, they've reset, they've got a good young manager, they've given youth a chance, and now let's see if they can build on that. I've got them staying up. Next up is one that is a change from my last video. I've gone with Preston. Obviously, the Alfie Devine deal is still a huge boost for this team, showing the investment, and he's going to be a linchpin for this Preston team. Such a great asset to get. Obviously, Heckenbottom is a fantastic Championship manager who has experience in this division, so no doubt there. The Ben Whiteman thing is a little bit worrying. Obviously, losing your captain in the way that they did, it's going to leave a bit of taste in your mouth. Hopefully, there's not much of an issue there. Hopefully it's just one player who saw one last payday and did what it takes to get it. Hopefully that's all it is. Preston still have work to do. I'm not quite sure if they're going to have the finances to invest loads more, but there is still work that needs to be done with this squad. I think Preston will be fine, and I do still have some of the optimism that I had a couple of weeks ago. I think there is a line between Preston and the teams below them, so I don't think Preston will be any real danger on the last week of the season. But Preston is a bit lower than what I thought they were going to be. I think they'll be okay. And in this Championship, where it's going to be a real brutal season with a lot of teams towards the top of the division, they're going to be really strong. Surviving and advancing is the name of the game in the Championship this season. And I've got Preston surviving, and they can advance on to the Championship the following year. 19th place is the highest ranked promoted side, and that is going to be Bolton Wanderers. They got their business done nice and early, so they've had a lot of time to integrate into the squad. I think Schumacher has grown as a manager since his last spell in the Championship, so I think he's going to be in a better place to lead this Bolton team. The Reebok is never an easy place to go for a lot of teams, so I think they'll be able to get a good home advantage going. There's still time in the window for them to add one or two areas, but Bolton have good ownership. They do seem to have a good scouting network, so I do think they'll be able to find another one or two to strengthen the team. I think Bolton being the highest placed promoted side is a bit of a shout for me. I don't think too many people will have that, but we'll see with everyone's under 24s coming out over the next week, which I'm going to be looking forward to watching. So I've got Bolton staying up quite comfortably. I don't think there'll be any real danger. I think their home form will push them forwards. So a really good season for Bolton to stabilise after not being in the Championship since 2019, I believe. I think they got relegated with Ipswich. So obviously they went down to League Two for a while. So to be back in the Championship and to stabilise in their first season in a brutal Championship like this is a great season for Bolton. And in 18th, I've gone for Portsmouth. Another stable season for them in the Championship. Their third season back in the Championship after being promoted from League One. John Mousinho, good, solid manager, knows the team, knows the fans, knows this division now after having a couple of seasons in it. I think Portsmouth fans will be looking to push on maybe towards the middle of the table. I think it's a bit soon for that, especially, like I said, in the last segment of this Championship, it's going to be a real brutal division for a lot of teams. Transfer business is being done. They did sign the Serbian striker for a good amount of money, which is really impressive. They already have Segacic, obviously, who's going to be a big part of this team again. Rumours are that they're going to get Abu Kamara back, and that's going to be a huge boost for them. He has proven he is a real effective Championship player. So I think Portsmouth fans might be a bit disappointed with 18th, but in the long run, in the grand scope of things, I think this is a really solid finish. Not going to be in any danger, putting down some building blocks. Another year under a really good, solid manager, and they should be able to push on next season. So let me know what you think, Portsmouth fans. I assume you're wanting more, but I think this would be a really good, solid finish for you. 17th is one of the biggest changes from my original video, and I've gone for West Brom. I had West Brom pushing towards the top half of the table in my original video, just with the fact that James Morrison did such a good job after coming in to replace Eric Ramsey last season. I thought West Brom were a goner, but he managed to keep them up with a game to spare. Really impressive when they played Ipswich at the Hawthorns. They haven't done too much in the window, so I don't really see where the push towards the middle of the table is coming from. So I think I might have been a bit over-eager just to the fact that it is West Brom and the Championship, that I thought, oh, maybe they're just going to push straight back. But we got to have to remember they were in a real bad way the last season. So I think a solid lower mid-table finish, never in any danger, building with their good young manager, could be a really good start for West Brom. I think West Brom fans will also be disappointed with this. I think they'll be wanting to push on, especially with the end to last season. I think they'll see themselves as one of the dark horses. I'm not there yet. I need to see more. This is one I could be really wrong on. Like I said, in my original thoughts, I did have them 13th. I think it was 13th. So I've got them down at 17th here, but no danger, no scares. And after the last season, I think that's got to be a success for West Brom. 16th place is Bristol City. They are shown intent. They've gone out and signed two of the most prolific strikers from League One. Tulai from Plymouth and Bellard from Leyton Orient are both in the door. A new manager, Michael Skabala, coming over from Lincoln, where he did a fantastic job. So he's got to implement his style, which is obviously very different from that of Liam Manning and Gerhard Struber, who came before him at Bristol City. So it's going to be a learning curve for the players. So I'm not quite sure how much of a fast start they're going to get off to. They're at home to Millwall on the opening day, so they've got a real chance to lay down a marker there and show their intent. It was just the uncertainty of the new manager coming in and the new style. It can take time. So I've gone a bit conservative with Bristol City. If it does click, I think they could easily be in the 14 to 10 range. But I'm going on the more pessimistic side, the more conservative side. Take a year, build with your new manager, develop his style, get his infrastructure in. He has proven when it works, he can get a culture going and a club going in the right direction, which he did with Lincoln. Again, for the third time in a row, it's going to be a fan base saying they're going to be disappointed with his finish, and I totally get it. I could see Bristol City being a top half team if it does all click. But as we're going to get to in the 13 to 6 range, there's just this huge cluster of teams, and it took me a long time to get a list that I was comfortable with. So we're going to get into that shortly. But I've got Bristol City having a solid, safe season here, and hopefully building for the future. 15th place is the team who I begged for answers in my last video, and that is Watford. I do like what they're doing in the transfer window. I like the goalkeeper that they've brought in. I think he's a really intriguing player. The left back that they've signed has championship experience and good championship experience from when he was at Bournemouth. He's got a promotion at this level. They haven't had many major exits currently, but it is being reported that Iran Kunda is going to go to Sporting for a big fee. Obviously buy and get quite a large percentage of that. I assume Loser will go before the end of the window as well. Chakvadadze's already gone. So those three losses will hurt, obviously, but it gets finances in. And I think the recruitment so far has been positive. So it's going to be a huge few weeks for Watford. If they spend the money that's coming in well over the next few weeks, Watford could push on and do the typical Watford thing of hiring a manager and he just gets them back up the table after a disappointing season. I'm hopeful for Watford. Obviously, I don't know much about Dionisi or the way he plays. We'll be learning about that as the season progresses, which I'm really looking forward to. Watford is going to be one of the storylines I'm going to be watching closely. But Watford here with a solid mid-table finish. Again, will that be good enough for their ownership? Maybe not. Maybe Dionisi will be gone within a few months and then we have to have the whole Watford discussion again. But I'm quietly optimistic for Watford, especially compared to where I was a few weeks ago when I was really worried about the floor falling out. But I think they'll be okay this season. And some solid extra recruitment will help them push on as well. So a solid season for Watford. 14th place, I've gone for Stoke City, the traditional Stoke City place for me. They're showing intent. You can't doubt that. They've paid a lot of money for Galbraith. They're rumoured to be want to pay a lot of money for George Hurst from Ipswich and Harry Clark from Ipswich. So they're showing intent. They've obviously got a really experienced championship manager who I really do have the utmost respect for in Mark Robbins. The second half of the season does really worry me last season though. I know they had a lot of injuries and they were playing a lot of youngsters at some points in the season, but that is not the sign of a club ready to take that next step. So we'll see what this investment can do for them. I've got them having a solid season here. It could go either way. I think Stoke is probably the team with one of the most variances this season. If it does click and their investment does hit, they could be a top half team. But if the signings do end up being a failure, Mark Robbins could be gone really early, and then who knows what will happen after that, and they could be looking downwards. I've gone for the more positive end of things, mainly down to Mark Robbins. Stoke was one I had a real tricky time with, so I've gone for 14th, solid mid-table, typical Stoke, and I'll wait to see what else happens. So in 13th, I've gone for QPR, a team with a real nice young core. When you look through the spine of their team, they do have pretty much a player in every level of the team that you can look to build around. Obviously, Piers Charles is coming on loan from Manchester City. Huge upgrade, I think, to the goalkeeping department. He was very impressive at Sheffield Wednesday last season. They've got Ronnie Edwards still at the back. It looks like he's going to stay after all, which is a huge plus for them. They've got Varane in midfield. They've got Kone and Burrell up front. They've got Poku and other young wingers. So QPR have a really exciting young core. And if things go right and Julian Staffan can push on in his second season at the club, I think this could be a promising season for QPR. Loftus Road can be a tough place to go, especially when things are clicking for QPR. So get that home form going, get off to a quick early start with these exciting young players. This could be a good season for QPR. I've got them just missing out on the top half, but I could see them pushing on. The inconsistency of QPR's are the thing that's holding me back from really believing in them. But we'll see if Stefan can prove me wrong. I have had my doubts over him in the past. But this is a great opportunity. I think this squad could be primed to take that next step. And if they do, it could be a great season for QPR coming up. So we're now into the top half. And probably from this point on, these teams are who I can really see making a push for the playoffs. 12 to 6 probably is a real cluster of teams where I could pretty much flip a lot of the order. And I could really make an argument for that happening. So 12th place, I've gone for Sheffield United. Like I said a few weeks ago, it's going to be a huge end of the transfer window for them. And it's not gone off to the best of starts. It looks like they might lose Hamer to Coventry. They've already lost Andre Brooks to Norwich. No real major incomings at the moment. I know the Calvin Phillips rumours keep hanging around. But Calvin Phillips just doesn't do it for me in 2026. So exactly like I said in my last video, huge few weeks of Sheffield United. They need to get this investment right if they are going to do it. Obviously, Chris Wilder knows how to get out of this division. He knows Sheffield United more than anybody. If anyone get them into the playoffs, it is going to be him. But I think he'd be doing it with one hand tied behind his back as it's currently standing. Which is a shame. They've got some good championship players. When you look at Michael Cooper, Harrison Burrows, they've got Sidney Peck. There's positives about this team. And if everything clicks, I honestly do think they can make the playoffs, especially now it is at 8 teams, which is a huge change for this season and will give us a lot more talking points. But work to be done for Sheffield United. I've got them finishing 12th here, which will be an insane disappointment for them and their fans. I know it will. Sheffield United are a huge club at this level. They're a championship powerhouse and they're expected to be pushing for promotion every season they're in it. How close will 12th be to 8th? I think it'll be pretty close. I think the last few weeks of the championship season, they're going to be super interesting with the race for the playoffs. Sheffield United will be part of it. I've got them, drifting away here and being towards the bottom of that fight, but I could easily see myself being proved wrong. Big few weeks for Sheffield United, get it right, and you can push on. 11th place, I've gone with Wrexham. A consolidation after their really impressive first season back in the Championship last season. They obviously invested very heavily last season and did some real nice bits of business, like when you see Windass and Callum Doyle and Kiefer Moore, Ben Chief, Lewis O'Brien. They've got some serious Championship talent in their team, and you would expect them to push on and invest again. They haven't gone crazy so far, but there is still a few weeks to go. They've obviously just signed Ben Whiteman from Preston. They need to get their goalkeeping situation sorted out, which they did not figure out at all last season. I've never been Phil Parkinson's Biggins fan. He's obviously done an amazing job at Wrexham for the back-to-back promotions. Is he the guy to make them push on to the next level? I have my doubts. But when you're fighting for the Championship playoffs on the final day of your first season back in the division in so many years, he's earned the chance to give it another go. So let's see what Wrexham do in the last few weeks. You've got to imagine that they're going to have their eyes on some big names, especially at the goalkeeping and striking areas. Obviously, their pursuit of a striker in January last season just did not work out. It was a complete disaster. So they need to get that right. If they do, then obviously with the players they've got, they can be a playoff team. I've got them just missing out here. I think they'll be disappointed. Would the ownership keep Parkinson after another missed playoff run? I don't know. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I've got Wrexham missing out, but like Sheffield United, they could easily make a run into the playoffs and I would not be shocked at all. 10th place, I've gone for Burnley. Really was not sure what to do here. Obviously, they've been the definition of a yo-yo club, gone up, down. So they're looking for their third promotion in 3 championship seasons. An off-season of turmoil. The manager search just was a complete disaster. After sacking Scott Parker while the Premiership season was still going, and then they didn't hire their new manager well into pre-season, that's concerning. Obviously, I don't know much about the new manager, so he's going to come over. He's going to be behind the 8 ball here. He hasn't had a full pre-season. They're going to be behind with their transfer targets. They've still got Zian Fleming. If they keep Fleming, then I could easily see them getting the Premiership. He's going to be one of the premier players in the division this season if he does stay. And those rumours does seem to have quieted down. So it's true for all these teams. It's going to be a huge last few weeks of the transfer window, especially for Burnley because they've been so far behind with their recruitment due to the managerial issues. It's a pretty big gamble having Burnley miss out on the playoffs. They've obviously been a a model of consistency in the Championship whenever they've been in the division. Obviously, it's not Vincent Kompany, who's proved to be a good manager at a lot level higher than this. Obviously, it's not Scott Parker, who is a proven Championship promotion getter, now with three promotions with 3 different teams. It's completely unknown. The transfer just hasn't been done yet. So I've gone with Burnley missing out. Could be totally wrong here and everything will be completely fine and Burnley will Burnley. But I've gone for them missing out on the playoffs and no 3 promotions in 3 Championship seasons for Burnley. 9th place, and the last non-playoff team is going to be Birmingham City. Difficult one, Birmingham. Obviously, super ambitious owners, super ambitious fans. They're going to be expecting to make the playoffs this season. They invested heavily last season, and they haven't so far yet. They've started to make 1 or 2 signings that are coming in, but I think they do have a lot more to do. They always have one of the better home atmospheres in the division, especially when things are going well. They didn't lose many games at St Andrews last season, so if they can continue that. So we'll see how they do away, which they did have real struggles with. That was the main gripe, I think, of Chris Davis, who has been given the opportunity to get Birmingham in the playoffs this season. There was talk about him being let go, but I think he has earned this opportunity to have a second striker at it. Obviously, they didn't get to where they wanted to last season, but they did have a really solid end to the season last season, so they've got some positive momentum. Would not be shocked at all if Birmingham does make the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs at that. But I've got them missing out here, and I know their fans will be disappointed, and I know the ownership will not be happy with this. And I don't think Davis would survive a second missed playoff. But I've got them missing out here, but in a division that's going to be this tough with the teams that we're about to speak about, there'll be positives, but not the ultimate positive. So. Okay, so into the playoffs, and my big shout of the season is that I think Swansea City will make the playoffs this season. Really impressed with what they've done in the transfer window so far. Vipotnik's still here at the moment. We'll see what happens, but like I said in my last video, I do trust Swansea to find strikers. They've bought some attacking options. They've used the money that they got from Ethan Galbraith well. Used from Motherwell seemed like a really interesting signing, and they are adding more. I like the manager, Vitor Matos. When he came in last season, he implemented his style very quickly and it was very effective. The Liberty is never an easy place to go, so if they can recreate their home form that they had last season, which was one of the true bright sparks for Swansea last season, was their home form. Their style of play is very impressive, and if they continue growth with a full pre-season under their manager, I'm very optimistic about what Swansea can do this season. I've got them sneaking into the playoffs here. I think that's probably my biggest shout off this video, so I'm really interested to see what Swansea can do. But I've got them getting into the playoffs. Whether they can make noise against some of the teams I'm going to be talking about in a few minutes, we'll see. But we'll see how Swansea do. But I've got them sneaking into the playoffs. 7th place, I have Derby County. Previously, I have said about how much I rate John Eustace, and that is still true. He's a very good Championship manager who knows how to set up his teams to be very effective, and they normally do their job. Pride Park is always a difficult place to go. They have one of the best home atmospheres in the league when things are going well. And if my prediction is correct here, the home atmosphere should be a huge reason for why they do end up comfortably in the playoffs. Obviously, their main bit of business is Bobby Clark, which was done really early. Really nice getting him tied down, a big young asset to build your team around. They've got Smodics back on loan from Ipswich. His time here at Ipswich just did not work. He just did not fit into the McKenna system. Didn't have the most productive of loan spells in the second half of the season at Derby last season, but we know that him and Eustace can equal goals. We'll see how long Aguimang's out. Achilles injuries, they're tough, so he might miss a lot of the season. But they've got Carlton Morris. They've got Zetterstrom, who at the moment is one of the better goalkeepers in the division. They've got some good other young players. Like I said in my previous video, I'm pretty sure Derby are going to make the playoffs this season, and I stand by that. So 2 interesting playoff teams right off the bat, Derby and Swansea next to each other. And that's the magic of the 8-team playoff, is that you do get more teams into it, more interest all the way through the season, right down to the final day. So I was always a fan of the 8-team playoff. I've always enjoyed the expanded playoffs of the conference. So to see it in the Championship, I think is a bonus. And I expect League One and League Two to follow suit in due course. But yep, Derby, solid playoff team, and I think they can make some noise in them too. So in 6th place, I've got Millwall, continuing on from their fantastic season last season. Another impressive transfer window so far. They've rejuvenated their midfield with a lot of youth. And as of recording, they haven't had any major losses that I was worried about. Femi Aziz is currently still on the squad. Tristan Kramer is still in the squad. Josh Coburn is still here. Ivanovic is still here. Negley is still here, who was a very underrated player for them last season. They do need to get this goalkeeping situation sorted. I think that's number one on their to-do list. But with Alex Neil as the manager, who knows this division inside out, knows what it takes to get out of this division, a real fluid, adaptable manager, I think Millwall will be able to build from what they did last season. Obviously, finishing third last season, sixth last season, some will see that as a real negative. But the Championship is so tough. The teams above Millwall, I think, are all going to be really, really, really strong. So a sixth place finish here is, I think, is a real positive, and I think they might even be a better team than they were last season. The level of the Championship is going to be so higher than it was last season, where there was one real strong team at the top, which was Coventry, and then everyone was quite far behind them. So sixth place for Millwall, and I think they'll be more prepared this time, and they'll be able to have a real go, and I would not be surprised if they'd be a force in the playoffs this season. So fifth place, I've gone for Norwich City to build on from their fantastic second half of the season last season. Obviously, once Clement come in, it was a completely different team. Throughout the second half of the season, they were clearly one of the form teams in the Championship, along with Southampton. So now they have a manager they can believe in, with a strong squad, with a strong nucleus, real good group of attacking players. They don't just have one or two, they have 3 or 4 real strong attacking players who they can play at any one time. They've made one major signing so far with Andre Brooks, who I think will be a really good addition for them on the wings. Motore up front should be guaranteed goals. His minutes per goal rate last season was incredible. Obviously, I don't think he'll be able to keep up that same number over a 46-game Championship season, but he should be guaranteed goals at this level. Cordoba at the back is one of the better Championship defenders. McLean is a good leader for them. Obviously, as an Ipswich fan, I don't like plays in Norwich, but I think they're going to be in for a really good season. They should be pushing towards the automatics for a lot of the season. They might just drop off. I think the 4 teams ahead of them are going to be in their own separate tier, with Norwich as best of the rest. But Norwich should be in good shape to make a real good run of the playoffs and potentially push for a place in the Premier League next season. Fourth place, I have gone for Southampton. Starting on the -4 obviously isn't ideal, but with the squad and the transfer window that they've had, I expect them to be one of the strongest teams in the division. Simon Peretz on a permanent is absolutely crazy for this division. He was the best keeper in the division for the second half of the season once he joined, and there was no coincidence that Southampton's form took an immediate upturn once he became the number one. Kyle Lowen has signed permanently. We know he can score goals in the division. Lewis Dobbin had a real productive season for Preston last season, and in a team with this much attacking threat, who will dominate the ball for most of these games, Dobbin could be in for a dominant season in the Championship. The elephant in the room is obviously the Spygate scandal. Do we really know what Tonda Eka is as a manager? We're going to find out. The FA ban is still hovering over him. He has been charged. There's been no punishment said yet. If he's going to be banned for a while, who knows? I personally can't see that happening. We'll see what he's made of. We'll learn what kind of manager he is. They're going to be a big game for most teams. They're going to be jeered at every stadium they go to. They haven't had any major losses yet. Rumours are that Shea Charles is moving closer to a move away, which would make sense. I did not see a world that he'd be staying at Southampton in the Championship next season, so it looks like he is moving on. But as of recording, no movement on Harwood Bellis, no movement on Janelt, no movement on Cienza. They've still got Finn Azaz, so Southampton, despite the -4, they're going to be pushing for automatic promotion. And if the division just was not so strong at the top with these 3 teams I'm about to talk about, they might well do it. I think it's going to take a real big points tally to get auto this season. Southampton just going to fall just short, but really strong season and will be one of the favourites in the playoffs. So I said Swansea in the playoffs was my biggest shout of this video, but maybe it'll be this. Third place, I've got Wolves, missing out on an automatic return to the Premiership. Wolves' squad is going to be pretty crazy for this division, I'm not going to lie. Are they going to be favourites to finish second? Yes. Will they finish second? Probably. But the team I'm about to talk after this have had such a good off-season. I'm just going to go for it. I've got a feeling, but we'll get into that in a second. Wolves obviously with a new manager who I do not know much about, but will learn quite quickly. He's obviously got an embarrassment of riches with the squad to work with. Trippier comes in, Jimenez comes in, 2 vastly experienced, fantastic players at this level who should be among the cream of the crop. They've got Andre, who they've convinced to stay in the Championship, which is kind of ridiculous. He should dominate every midfield he's going to go in. They've got Armstrong, who was guaranteed goals. So it's going to be interesting to see the rotation they do up front. So if they do play mainly with one striker, what the rotation is going to be with Jimenez and Armstrong. And then with a few youngsters coming through, solid Premier League defenders that are still here. Everything lines up for Wolves to get automatic promotion quite comfortably. But I've got them missing out. Obviously, they'll be huge favourites in the playoffs if this does happen. But Wolves finishing third, another big shout from me. And let's get into the top two. So the top two, and not the chalk top two that I think most people will have. I think Middlesbrough are going to do it this season. I'm a real big fan of their manager, Kim Hellberg. I love the way he plays football and the way he sets up his teams. They've had a fantastic transfer window so far. Reports coming out over the last couple of days that they've agreed a deal with Manchester United for Radek Vitek, who was one of the better Championship goalkeepers last season. Absolutely fantastic, ticks off one of their biggest needs. Reports also coming out that they're going to sign Ashley Phillips from Tottenham. Again, really, he's only 21, but he's vastly experienced in the Championship, and he'll be a fantastic partner for Malanda and Luke Ayling in those centre-back positions. Middlesbrough had one of the best defences in the division second half of last season, and I think that's only going to get better with these two additions. They've brought in a couple of exciting talents over from America at left back and midfield, and obviously the big transfer Middlesbrough is that of Will Lancashire. Really, really impressive season for the young striker in a relegated Oxford side last season. He is exactly what Middlesbrough needed. Last season, they were just missing that focal point striker to lead the line, to finish the chances, to create space for others. Lancashire was the ideal signing for Middlesbrough this season. So to get it done, it did cost them a lot of money, but to get it done, you won't be thinking about the money if he does what he could do and get Middlesbrough back in the Premier League. So Middlesbrough all round are going to have one of the most complete squads with an impressive manager. The Riverside is always an impressive ground to go to when things are going well, and yeah, I think they're going to go well for Middlesbrough. Obviously, the loss of Hackney is the main concern for this team. Once Hackney got injured last season, that was the catalyst for Middlesbrough's pretty severe drop off. But with the whole pre-season knowing that they're not going to have Hayden Hackney, Hellberg will be able to prepare for this. They've still got Aidan Morris, who's going to be one of the premier midfielders in the division. They've taken a really impressive squad last season, used the money from the Hackney and Morgan Rogers deals, and they've invested it really well. So I've gone for Middlesbrough second to finally get over the hump and get back into the Premier League for the first time in a while. So it'll be exciting to watch, and I'll be rooting for them. So I've got Middlesbrough in second and back in the Premier League. And third place, to no one's surprise, is West Ham. Obviously, the major news for West Ham is that Jared Bowen is staying. He should run this division. He should win the Golden Boot. He should be the best player. And with him in the team, West Ham should win this division at a canter. Bowen is probably the best player in my lifetime to have played in the Championship. Like I said in my last video, the previous title holder for that would have probably been Ruben Neves back when he was with Wolves back in the day. You could just tell Ruben Neves was just a different quality of player that you're used to seeing in the Championship. And he went on to prove that with the career that he had. But I think Bowen probably trumps that. Just a crazy player to have in the Championship. When Ipswich were in the Premiership a couple of years ago, he was one of the best players I saw. He absolutely dominated us. So he should dominate this league. Obviously, the departures of Fernandez and Somerville are expected, but it has raised a lot of money. But it's not just Bowen. They've still got Castellanos up front, who should be one of the premier strikers in the division. They've got Kilman and Mavropanos at centre-back. They've got Juve at left-back. They've got Hermansen in goal. They've got Souček, who should be really good at this level too in midfield. West Ham should be the clear champions. So I've gone chalk here. I think 99.9% of people will have West Ham as number one in their 1 to 24, and I have too. So West Ham champions, Middlesbrough second, and I think it could be a real fun promotion race towards the end of the season. So there we have it, my final 1 to 24 EFL Championship 26-27 predictions. I've gone with a couple of shouts there. We'll see if Swansea and Middlesbrough, they're my two big shouts. They'll be the teams I'm looking for on a week-to-week basis. We'll see if they can make me look smart or just really, really dumb. I'll put a graphic on the screen of my 1 to 24 to review so you can see it in all its glory. Like I say, I may look really foolish, but that's the Championship for you. Some teams will rise unexpectedly, some teams will fall unexpectedly, and it's just a lot of fun predicting them. So thanks for watching and joining me on this journey. Look forward to weekly prediction videos coming up starting from next week. I'm super excited to start making those. I love predicting games, and I will look forward to getting into the nitty-gritty of the Championship season. So thanks for talking ball, and I'll see you next time.